Hello everyone, I'm Brian Easton, the author of the autobiography of a Werewolf Hunter series. Welcome to Whiskey with the Werewolf Hunter.
Oh, death, where are you now? You've left me behind somehow. I drank deeply from your cup. Now I see what I've become. Oh, oh. What's left but ash and burned bone? No last.
This is our May 2023 edition of Whiskey with the Werewolf Hunter, and welcome to it. I'm glad you could stop by for a little while this evening. We're going to pour you a short one tonight, figuratively speaking, because Doc Broussard is not going to be with us tonight. He's up against a book deadline he's trying to finish, and so we wish him well with that, and we'll see him again next month. Now, pouring you a short one, figuratively speaking, and literally speaking, we're running dry tonight. I'm not imbibing. We're not having any whiskey. And as you can see, we are not at the Werewolf Bar. Around this time of year, I like to take it outside for a little bit, do things just a little bit differently. So the reason why the show is going to be considerably shorter is because Doc is not here. As you may have noticed, his segments run between 20 minutes, 30 minutes long. And that's because, quite simply, it just takes a while to talk about the subject matter that he has to share with us. You can't take a rushed approach to the discussion of the occult and expect to really convey anything. So we take our time with that, and we're always thankful for Doc to do that. But we do have Tex Grebner with us tonight, and of course we have Amanda Asks coming up a little bit later. So since we're not having our creature of the night, what I want to do right now is to give you an update on the Winter Fox Journals, Book 2. Like I told you last month, the Winter Fox Journals Book 2, I was done with it, and it's in the hands of the publisher. And since then, the editorial process has begun. I have gone through and done my part on the first 5 chapters of the book, and expect to get the rest of them back for my approval sometime before the end of the month. According to Matthew Bow, who is my editor and has been, thankfully, since the very beginning, the end of June appears to be the deadline that he's working with to get everything edited. So I think we can safely say we're going to have that in your hands sometime before the beginning of fall, maybe the next 3, maybe 4 months. One thing I didn't share with you last week was the book cover for the Winter Fox Journals Book 2, and that's because I didn't want to just kind of put it in there as an afterthought. Now, a book cover is a big deal with an author because it can either be a real detriment to the book, or it can complement it. It can make it even better, and that's what we all hope for, depending on the quality and how well it represents what's inside. And nobody wants a lousy cover. The readers don't want it, the publisher doesn't want it, and the man or woman behind the word processor, the typewriter, the computer, they definitely don't want it either. So when coming up with the cover for Winter Fox Journals Book 2, as you probably know, it's set in the Great War, or what we know as World War I today. And so I needed to have something on the cover that reflected that without beating the public over the head with it. And I like what we came up with, and I hope you will too. So here is the book cover for Winter Fox Journals Book 2. Have a look. So I think that's going to be a good one. I think it's going to look even better when you see it in print. And I believe it's also going to be a nice addition to your autobiography of a werewolf hunter collection, which is hopefully on your bookshelves. So like I said, Tex Grebner is with us this evening with Tools of the Trade, and he's going to tell us a little bit about an idea that he's had for silver bullets. And this is interesting. You'll want to pay attention to this.
Welcome to Tools of the Trade here on Whiskey with the Werewolf Hunter. One of the most frustrating things that we deal with as monster hunters, because we take the lunatic fringe seriously here, is not being able to be taken seriously as the lunatic fringe. We've had, since 1882, the ability to manufacture gliding metal jacket, full metal jacket ammunition with either soft lead, hard lead, or steel core. We've also been able to manufacture soft lead and hard lead cored jacketed soft points. Okay, but this is not something, let's say, that a monster hunter operating out of a hotel room in Kearney, Nebraska on I-80 can do in a hotel room as if they were cooking up trailer park crystal meth. This is a factory manufacturing process. However, it's the easiest solution to the issues of a silver bullet. Instead of a jacketed soft point, a jacketed hard point, with this being a copper jacket bonded and swaged to a silver core. The copper jacket doesn't matter, because as the projectile penetrates the wolf, the copper jacket will be ripped off of the silver core the same way that the jacket is ripped off of an armor-piercing full metal jacket when it goes through something hard enough to peel it off. Also, as our copper jacketed silver slug is ripped away from its jacket, it will cause it to destabilize, keyhole, and do massive tissue damage. I hate Scalp Hunter as a weapon because it's ridiculous. But Scalp Hunter is what happens when you take a problem to a bunch of bureaucrats that create a device as a thought exercise. So I respect it for what it is, but I still think it's ridiculous. But Sylvester makes an incredibly long shot with Scalp Hunter, the 4-barreled 458. Now, with the resources of the Victorian Ring and the government entity that he's working with during his provisional pardon, it stands to reason that they would have had the good sense, the technology, and the manufacturing power to create silver inside a copper jacket that would have solved the rifling issues of silver, as well as the ballistic issues of silver, and the accuracy issues of silver. But Sylvester is a goddamn cowboy, and he knows the way that Michael taught him, the way that Rutger Smith taught Michael. And so he's not going to ask for essentially department-issued ammunition. He's going to do what he does. However, Aroa also kills a werewolf with a considerably long shot, using probably silver cord manufactured ammunition. And Graf Rudolph makes a very long shot with probably silver cord manufactured ammunition, because he also has some sort of backing that legitimizes his quest. Because you can't just manufacture full metal jacket or soft point semi-jacketed ammunition at home. There's a process to it. There's an alchemy to it. But that would be the simplest solution versus poured silver. But here on the Lunatic Fringe as Monster Hunters, we can't do jacketed ammunition to solve the problem. Now, Sylvester did use Winchester silver tips against Diego, mostly as a distraction. They don't really count, to be completely honest. The truth is, being able to use copper jacketed silver core ammunition is just too much of a simple fix. It's like the equivalent of being able to store-buy cigarettes instead of having to roll them at home. It's too much of an easy fix to the problem. But if you're a mercenary that's actually working for some version of an entity that takes it seriously, it stands to reason that you would be outfitted with ballistically sound silver core copper jacketed ammunition. But it's just too much of a simple fix that would solve every problem in the Monster Hunter's arsenal if you could actually get an ammunition manufacturer to manufacture silver core copper jacketed ammunition. So I hope you guys enjoyed watching this episode of Tools of the Trade here on Whiskey with the Werewolf Hunter, where we take the Lunatic Fringe seriously.
Now, I'm so glad that Tex did this piece, because he's exactly right. That type of ammunition perfectly sums up and kind of takes care of the trouble of silver ammunition that people who use silver bullets are historically up against. He's right in all areas of that, especially in the fact that it is a literary vanity, I guess, to have the character of Sylvester make his own silver bullets, and as Michael did before him. But the jacketed silver bullets make just tons of sense, really, and I'm sure we're going to have we'll hear more about that as time goes on in the characters yet to be revealed, and some that may be returning. So the idea behind Tex's idea is that when a projectile, let's say it's a lead projectile, would strike the flesh of a werewolf, it would flatten. It just doesn't penetrate. It's the wrong key for the lock, so to speak. Only silver or magic fits that key, fits that lock. With the copper jacketed silver bullet, you got the silver at the core. It's still going to hit the wolf, but when it hits, the copper jacket's going to strip away, just like Tex said, and the silver bullet's going to penetrate. So you lose none of your penetrating power, and you solve all your problems of getting the bullet to its target, such as rifling and barrel wear, and not to mention accuracy. So thanks a lot, Tex, for that one. We're going to take that one under advisement, and I think we're going to be hearing more about that in the future. So now we come to Amanda Rogers with Amanda Asks, and tonight Amanda has a question from her email address that we always show you at the end of her segment from a viewer, and we encourage you, if you have a question for Amanda to ask on the show, to please send it in to that email address at the end of her segment, and we'll get it answered on the show. But for now, here's the question that has been asked, and here's Amanda who's going to ask it.
Hi Brian, welcome to today's edition of Amanda Asks. I missed you guys since last month. But today, important question coming from Kevin from Weymouth, Massachusetts. Kevin wants to know, in the Winter Fox book, we get to see a bunch of supernatural characters who are not werewolves. When it comes to be Sly's time, how come we don't see any of those creatures? Been wondering that myself. And maybe I think that we just haven't seen them yet. I don't know if you plan on writing any more of Sylvester's story. I think maybe there's some more. There's a couple of open endings we've talked about before. I think maybe we're going to see them still to come. What do you think, Brian?
Now that is a great question, and it's kind of one that I have been anticipating that someone might ask for a while. So hopefully I have a good answer for you. It's a two-pronged answer, really. The first of which is, if anything is true about Sylvester James, he is nothing if not single-minded. His purpose, his entire drive are against the beast, and that's manifest over and over again in the series. So chances are, when you are that single-minded, that's all you're going to see. Even if there are other things, other creatures happening in your periphery, you're not going to always be aware of it because you're focused on this. This is your entire prey drive, so to speak. They say that about dogs, hunting dogs, and they have a degree of prey drive to pursue their quarry. And Sylvester has just loads and loads of prey drive, and that's what he's focused in. I'll give you an example of what I mean. I had an uncle, a great uncle, who was a raccoon hunter, and he loved to do it, and he went out all the time and hunted raccoon. Had years and years of experience with it, and he had dogs who helped him track the raccoons down. Well, he had a dog once upon a time who wound up getting on the scent of a bobcat, and all that dog wanted to do from that day on was pursue that bobcat, and that's all he would do when they'd go out into the woods. He wouldn't look for raccoon. He would look for bobcat. So my uncle eventually came to the conclusion this dog was ruined from hunting raccoon because all it wanted was the cat, and he got rid of the dog. So that's kind of what we're talking about there, and why Sylvester doesn't or may not notice other creatures around him. Now he does see spirits. We all know that. The second reason behind it is because Sylvester lives in a different world than Michael did. Michael's whole existence was more in touch with the mystical, with the supernatural, than Sylvester's ever was. So it stands to reason that someone more in tune to the forces of the supernatural, to the other side, so to speak, if they're more in tune, they're gonna encounter them more. It's just that simple. And Sylvester, not that in tuned. In fact, the entire Radazzanan tradition, as it comes down, just becomes less and less as it comes into the modern age. Even Michael Winterfox, as you'll see in the upcoming book, was not the caliber of Radazzanan, or he was not trained the same way with the traditional methods as his father was. And his father, not as his grandfather was. So by the time we get to Sylvester, we've got a pretty poor carbon copy of a Radazzanan dogman. So I think that answers your question. I hope it does. Thank you very much, Amanda, for forwarding that question to us. And like I said before, if you've got one, please send it to Amanda at the email address at the end of her show. And that's going to bring us to the end of our show for this May. Thanks for coming by tonight. We hope you enjoyed your time with us. And next month, we hope Doc will be back with us. Until then, happy hunting and mind the moon.